This deck is way better than you think it is. Hello and welcome to the table, and today I'm back with a one-piece deck tech video, the first one for the channel, and the deck that I'm going to be featuring today is Yamato. Green-yellow Yamato, and a pretty unassuming, but in my opinion, pretty powerful deck. So Yamato here is a 5,000 power 4 life leader with double attack, so deals 2 damage to the opponent when it hits the life. That's insane. But as an activate main, in addition, once per turn, if your opponent has 3 or less life cards, you can give 2 Rushdown to one of your characters. So, just rush the opponent down, just aggro the opponent to death. Always keep the pressure on them with this leader that they basically have to counter out every single turn. In addition to, just having characters that are usually going to be a little bit bigger than they look, thanks to giving out Rushdown. So the whole goal of the deck is basically just to keep the opponent as pressured as possible and get them to as low of life, specifically 3, as quickly as possible, to just make it so easy to just snowball into a victory and just have eternal pressure on the opponent until they inevitably die. So yeah, pretty stupid deck. Is it the best deck? Maybe not. But it is a deck that I think a lot more people need to at least look at and respect. So, to look at the deck itself, I got the first category of cards, which is the Searchers. I got 8 Searchers, and the best one being Yamato. A 1-cost, 0 power, 1k counter character that has Dawn 2 your turn. It gets plus 3,000 power, so give 2 Rested Dawn to it through the Yamato leader. Then this turns into a 5k. That's pretty good. But in addition, more importantly, on play, you get to look at the top 5 of your deck, reveal 1 land Alano type card with a cost of 2 or more, put it in your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So it replaces itself, gets you kind of more of what you need, and it can be a threat that you can rush the opponent down with later down the line. Pretty freaking good. So you just have to have 4 copies of this beautiful Yamato Searcher. But in addition, I have Kozuki Momonosuke. I also have 4 copies of this guy, but it is also a 1-cost, 0 power, 1k counter character with an activate main to spend a resource, or spend a Dawn, and rest this character to then look at the top 5 of your deck, reveal 1 land Wano type card and add it to your hand, place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Now, this is, in ways, slightly worse than Yamato because it itself cannot turn into a threat, but it can repeatedly get you cards that can make it easier for you to kill your opponent. So, repeatable card advantage? And that's pretty good from what I've been told. So if the opponent doesn't deal with this, you can get quite a bit of value out of it. And that's less pressure being put on you if you're against another aggro deck, which makes it maybe easier for you to win against that opposing aggro deck. I don't know. Momonosuke, pretty good card. But in addition, I got another category of cards. The Energy Steroids for Yamato. If you know what that reference is and you remember Hody and that whole thing. I got Hody in the deck, so Hody brought along his Energy Steroids for Yamato. And the Energy Steroids that make Yamato way more powerful than they should be is Nami, one of them. A 2-cost, 3k, 1k counter character with an on-play of giving up to one of your leader characters banished for the turn. And it has a trigger KOing up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So it has a busted trigger, in my opinion, and it can make Yamato's double attack that much more threatening because the cards that Yamato would be hitting in the life area, to go to the hand. So the opponent doesn't technically go down any cards in hand, they actually kind of go up cards in hand. But, if they have Banish, Yamato the leader has Banish, then all of a sudden, those cards that would be going into the opponent's hand just go into the trash. And that's pretty nice. Plus, you can give 2 Rested Dawn to Onami and turns into a 5k. So even if this is just kind of lying around not doing anything after the on-play has gone off, it can still turn into a threat that can beat down the opponent. So that's pretty good too. Now, it is one of the few cards that you cannot search with Momonosuke and Yamato, so that is kind of a downside. But besides that, Onami's pretty good. Not gonna lie. But then I got Izo. And Izo is pretty much identical to Onami, but in my opinion, it's a little bit better because one, it's searchable because it has the Land of Wano trait, but it's a 2-cost 1k power, 1k counter character with a Dawn ×2 ability that gives itself blocker. So if you need blockers, you know, that can be kind of nice. But more importantly, on play, your Land of Wano type leader gains Banish for the turn. So it's basically identical to Nami, except it doesn't have a really good trigger, but it can be searched by your searchers, and it can become a blocker in a pinch if you need it to. So Izo overall is pretty freaking good, in my opinion. But then there's the last card that I love this guy. I mean, when I'm playing the deck, I love this guy. When I'm not, I absolutely despise him. But Tonoyasu, another 4-of. Everything in this deck is a 4-of except for one card. But Tonoyasu is a 2-cost 2k power 1k counter character that has an activate main, trash the character, up to one of your Land of Wano type leader characters, gains plus 3,000 power for the turn. So all of a sudden, you know, Yamato, 5,000 power, goes to an 8, making it way harder for the opponent to actually be able to counter out Yamato. And I mean, if you're playing against a Luffy that gets rid of a Gum Gum Giant, you gotta get rid of those somehow. And Tonoyasu is a pretty good way to do that. And Tonoyasu is searchable, which makes it pretty good too. Because yes, your opponent can get a ton of Gum Gum Giants, but you can also get a ton of Tonoyasus because you have 8 searchers, and all of them can get this guy. So pretty good, in my opinion. But then, I got all of the pressure of the deck. All of just the really frustrating pressure because all of it just has things that make your opponent really pissed at you. They all do something that pisses off the opponent, and that's great. So Ashura Dojo is, you know, not really, like, it's not putting a ton of pressure on the opponent, but I didn't really know what category to slot it into, and I still think it kind of is a good aggressive tool against the opponent to get rid of something like one of their blockers. But anyways, Ashura here is a 3-cost, 3k counter, 1k, or 3k power, 1k counter character. 3k counter would be insane, but it has an on-play of saying if your leader has the Land of Wano type, and your opponent has 3 or more life cards, you KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Base cost of 5 or less. But still, that's kind of nuts, because, you know, KOing one of your opponent's stuff is pretty good. KOing a 5 cost for 3 resources is pretty good too. And this is pretty much guaranteed to do that the turn that you would play Ashura, because you want to go first, you want to go into 1 Dawn, into 3, into 5, etc., etc. This guy, you know, can get rid of your opponent's 2 cost. Let's say a 2-cost 2k blocker. That's great for you because, you know, Yamato, the leader, you want to date a lot. So yeah, Ashura, pretty stupid. Pretty freaking stupid. And worst case scenario, you just counter with him. There's no downside. And he can get buffed to a 5k because it has 3k power, you know, with the Yamato leader. So there's that too. That's great. So then there's Basil Hawkins. This guy, okay, I get that it's not a Land of Wano type card, but some decks I have seen run this. I haven't seen like all of the Yamato decks run this, but Basil Hawkins, in my opinion, is a really stupid card in general, but I think it also can be really stupid in Yamato. Because this 4-cost, 5k power, 1k counter character, not a Land of Wano type character, has a interesting on KO, saying trash up to one of your cards from the top of your opponent's life cards. So, oh, and by the way, has a trigger saying draw 2, trash 1. That's not bad either. Has a good trigger. And it's a 5k body, guaranteed. You don't have to do any like shenaniganry with Yamato, the leader. And, you know, it has an on KO of making your opponent lose more life, which you want to have happen. So basically, the reason why I think the Yamato leader is pretty good with that whole double attack ability is it's stripping cards from the opponent's hand every turn. Or it's stripping resources from the opponent's board every turn if they need to, like, you know, use blockers. Or, you know, that's one more blocker that the opponent uses that's not on one of your attackers on the board or whatever. No matter what, this Yamato leader, every time that they attack is going to be good for you. This guy, Basil Hawkins, same deal. And if they decide to get rid of Hawkins, unless they have 0 life left, which if they do, generally that's going to be a good thing for you, he's going to be putting in work. So Hawkins, don't underestimate him. He's stupid and annoying and a pain in the tushy. But then there's Kiku. And I hate this card. Now, it doesn't have a counter, but it is a 4-cost 6k power character. It is searchable, and it has an on-KO of saying if your opponent has 3 or less life cards, which, you know, you kind of want to do in this deck, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. Now, that on-KO, you know, isn't, like, as insane as Hawkins by any means, but still, if you're playing against, like, another aggressive deck, or you just need one, like, that on-KO can matter a lot more often than you would think in an aggressive deck, because yes, you are probably not going to get to the point where the life is going to matter or something, because either you're going to be blown out, or, you know, you're just going to rush the opponent down to where it didn't matter that you had an extra life. But, you know, it does still matter to a point to have that extra life in the scenarios where, I don't know, it's just like, it's an unassuming on-KO in an aggressively slanted deck. But it's still a 4-cost 6k power character. A 4/6 is not bad. With a punishing on-KO and a trigger that says if your opponent has 3 or less life cards, you play it. So it's going to be coming out somehow, because yellow just always seems to have those stupid triggers that do the perfect thing at the top of their life cards, and it just works out perfectly to where all of a sudden they have 50 things on there. Yeah, anyways, Kiku, it's an annoying pain. And if you're playing this deck, you love Kiku. If you're playing against it, it's just another annoying little turd that's going to make it easier for the Yamato player to kill you and harder for you to survive. So yeah, there you go. But then there's Momonosuke, which is a 4-of. Now, there are a lot of decks that don't have 4 copies of this card. And I would agree that a lot of, like, I didn't have 4 copies of this card for the longest time. And I just recently put it up to a 4-of. But I think it's actually pretty good as a 4-of. Because one of the things that this deck can be bad at is in the later portions of the game, you're getting to like the 10 Dawn turn, or you're getting to like the upper Dawn turns, and you have a bunch of 4-cost 5, 6k power characters. Well, you still need big threats, but you need those big threats to do stuff immediately, because the longer that Yamato goes, you know, playing, the worse it's going to be for you. If you get to the Dawn 10 turn, or you just got to 10 Dawn or something, and you don't have the opponent on like 1 or 2 life, generally you're not in a good spot. So you need your big cost characters to come in with rush and then just immediately do something that's really relevant and really threatening. And this Momonosuke can do that, because it is a 6-cost 7k power, no k counter, character, with an ability that says on your turn, if you have 2 or less life cards, your leader gets plus 1000 power. That's a neat, nice little ability that can matter more often than you would think, but that's not what matters, generally speaking. What matters is as an activate main once per turn, you can return 2 of your total given Dawn, currently given Dawn, to your cost area, rested. So those Dawn that you give out with Yamato that are rested, I don't know, it's just like you put 2 Dawn on Kiku, rested Dawn on Kiku thanks to the Yamato ability. Then you play out Momonosuke after you attack with Kiku for 8. And then you put those 2 Dawn back that you just gave to Kiku with the Momonosuke, and all of a sudden, this character gets rush and plus 1000 power for the turn. So it can come in immediately as an 8k body, make it that much easier for you to win, or reduce the amount of opportunity your opponent has to prevent you from killing them. Either through managing their blockers, getting more of them out of the way, or getting more of them rested, or getting more counters out of the opponent's hand, or you're playing against Luffy deck, getting a Gum Gum Giant out of the opponent's hand. Either way, Momonosuke, Kozuki Momonosuke, does more work than you would think as a rusher. Because, I don't know, it's just, I think it's way better for your big bodies in the later portions of the game to have rush than for you to have like a couple of more 2K counters or a couple more this or a couple more that. You need to be aggressive. You need to get the opponent down to death's door as quickly as possible. And having the ability to close out, I don't know. It's just, I think this card, as a 4-of, it might seem a little bit weird, but I think it's a lot better than you might think at first. So try it. But then there's Hody, another 4-of. I love Hody. Hody's really freaking stupid. It's a 4-of as well, because why would you not have this in a deck as a 4-of if you're going to play Hody? I don't know. But anyways, it's a 7-cost 8K, no-K counter body. It does not have the ability to be searched by your searchers, which does stink, but it is worth it, because it has Rush, guaranteed. You don't have to jump through hoops like you do with the Momonosuke, even though they're pretty easy to jump through. But still, Hody, guaranteed Rush, and has an on-play of saying rest up to 2 of your total, a total of 2 of your opponent's characters or Dawn cards, and add 1 card from the top of your life to your hand. If you don't know what this card does already, it's really good. That on-play is dumb. It rests 2 of your opponent's blockers, it rests 1 of their Dawn that you know would be used to play a Gum Gum Giant, and it's just a 7-cost 8K rush. So immediate pressure, and it makes it easier for you to just kill the opponent out of nowhere. I swear, the amount of times that I have lost this card, I'm playing Purple Luffy, I'm playing Ploofy. I have 2 of my Katakuris out, and I have a Dawn up, or something like that. I have the ability to last the final push turn, and then win on the next turn. And then a Hody gets dropped, and then I just die, and then I cry, and I want to rip the card in half. The amount of times that has happened, I swear, it is stupid to me. But yeah, Hody, it's a good card. It's a good card. I don't hate it at all. I promise you, I don't. But yeah, Hody, play it. But then lastly, I have the defensive cards. And there aren't a lot of them, but it's like, you gotta have 2K counters. You gotta have, like, you know, cards that are semi-dedicated to just blocking. Because, you know, you need that in any deck, in my opinion. I think you need 2K counters, period, in a sentence. And in my opinion, you do need some amount of blockability. Because, you know, blocking's a pretty powerful effect in this game. But, first off, I got 4 Izos. Just a 3-cost, 3K, 2K counter. Has an on-play, decent on-play of resting 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 less. Generally speaking, it's a 2K counter, but sometimes, you know, it can be a 5K body thanks to Yamato's ability. It can rest stuff, but the 2K counter, that's what matters. And it's searchable because it's Land of Wano. That's pretty good. 2K counter. What else is there to say? Gotta love them. But then, there's Kinemon, which is also a 4-of. And Kinemon is pretty good, actually. It's a 4-cost, 5K power, 2K counter character with an interesting trigger of saying if your leader has a Land of Wano type and your opponent has 3 or less life cards, you play it. So it can be played, you know, that's nice. It's a 2K counter, that's nice. And it's a guaranteed 5K body. So no matter what, it's just an all-around good card. And 2K counter, the most important part. It's good, it's really good. But then lastly, I have 2 copies of the 5-cost blocker, Kozuki Momonosuke. This guy is a 5-cost 6K blocker, no K counter, and an on-play, sometimes matters, of adding up to 1 of your Land of Wano type characters other than Kozuki Momonosuke to the top or bottom of the owner's life cards face up. So, you can, you know, add stuff to your life if you need to, and it can be a blocker. So, all around, it is good. And it's a 2-of, because, you know, you don't always need it. Generally, you don't need it. But when you do, you need to last a little bit longer. Maybe have 1 more turn to last until you can kill the opponent. Then this card can help you get there. Otherwise, you know, it's just kind of hope you don't draw it. So, it's a good card. It's a good card. But It's only in a deck for niche cases where you need to be defensive. Otherwise, you're just putting your foot on the gas and then just pedaling to the metal. But anyways, that's the deck. I think Yamato is a really solid deck. It's not the best deck in the game by any means, but it's a lot better than I initially thought the Yamato was. I'm like, oh, Yamato will be a fun, cheap, inexpensive deck that I can build that's aggressive and fun and whatever. But then I started tweaking around with it, and I kept adding stuff to it, and I kept changing stuff around, and I kept changing ratios, and I'm like, you know, this deck is actually a lot better than I thought. And now we're here, where Yamato can beat Ploofy and never allow me to have any fun with my Blackbeard deck. So, yeah, thanks, Yamato. I like playing Blackbeard, but you suck all the fun out of it. But anyways, with all that aside, hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It's completely free, your own credits. And hope you all cannot wait for more deck tech videos. And some coming soon, maybe for a certain Ploofy. Maybe for some other stuff like a Buggy. And, you know, other things. But anyways, see you next time, everybody. And good night.